Hello guys, and welcome to my review of Muddle of Photon Flowers. If you're new to this channel, my name's Aiden. We do a lot of visual novel reading and other gameplay stuff, usually Weeb-related stuff, but yeah, mainly focusing on visual novel reading. And we have just completed Photon Flowers, so as custom, I'm just gonna talk about some final thoughts on the series. If you don't know what Photon Flowers is, it is a collection of short stories, I believe published in other, like either separately or in other collections, all like merged into one for ease of access for people, which I think is generally pretty good. Um, so yeah, obviously you have to read this, and you should read this after finishing the main trilogy. It is just bonus content. Um, Overall, I think it was pretty worth it. You get a good amount of bang for your buck. I believe it's normally 30 bucks, and I spent like, I think we checked this last time. How many hours did I spend? I think it was like mid 20 hours for 30 bucks, which is a pretty good ratio. Um, 26 hours, and it's like 30 bucks, so it's almost like almost $1 per hour, which is always good, ratio wise. It also consists of it's basically split into two halves. One side focusing on side stories from the extraverse, so more focused on slice of life, more like fun, maybe some, romance drama. While the second half is on alternative, so obviously more action based, the beta based, stuff like that. Just quickly going over all of them. On the extra side, there is before I have it up on my other screen. I was trying to do a tier list, but I was too lazy to like, take screenshots of all the arts, even though that would only take like 5 minutes. That's 5 minutes of too much prep for me because we just like to send it over here. Minimal effort. But the bid story, or the longest one on the extra side, was before the Sakura trees bloom, which is, it's like an extra after the events of extra for the Sumika route. So Mia's gone. She lost the bet. She went and married some other guy, and we never see her again. And Takaru and Sumika are officially a couple, and it's kind of their struggles entering this new stage of being a couple, after being friends for so long. And I'm just trying to say this. If you watched the playthrough, you probably know my opinions on this, but I think this was literally my least favorite arc from the collection. I just didn't like it. The idea is not bad, but I just thought the actual struggle and problem between the two were really annoying. Like one of the whole shtick of it was Sumika was not really feeling Takaru. There's some mid problems, but she wouldn't tell Takaru himself. He had to figure it out, and it was pretty frustrating. Because at some point, even I like was doubting like, why is she mad? Like they thought I had an idea, but it wasn't that. So it's just like, huh, what's happening? And I think personally, the worst thing a story can make you feel is being frustrated. So it's just unpleasant. I didn't really enjoy it, sadly. And I love Sumika. She's such a cool character. Check out my Muv-Luv trilogy tier list. She's pretty up there. But yeah, it was not fun. Um, Funnily enough, on the wiki, they take all the take all the rest of the side stories in the extra side and just say Muv-Luv Heroine Short Story Collection, which I think is fine because I was gonna group them up all together because they're pretty much the same thing. It's basically each of the other heroine, actually just all of the heroines, and they all have like a really short, like maybe 45-minute, 1 hour side story with like, a tinge of drama, but it's usually pretty lighthearted and happy. And these were all okay. Like, I feel like you will automatically just like, your favorite side characters one more. So, Bid Tom ahead. Even though I think out of all of them, excluding Maya's, I think Chizuru's might have been my favorite. But, gotta give it to Tama. Give Tama the dubs when we can. But yeah, I would say they were all pretty like alright. Like they were just average, a little fun time. Except for Maya's, because I gotta give Maya my bid stamp of approval as my favorite story on this side. So Maya actually didn't have one side story. She had a duology. That's right, two side stories, and they both connect to each other. Like one's literally the sequel of the other. And it is absolute peak Maya content. You know, you have her style of humor. You know, each of the heroines kind of have their style of cuteness slash humor. Maya's is obviously being oblivious to how society works. So you have the first one where she's, you know, getting ready to train for to win Taku's heart or whatever when she goes to Japan, and she just walks into a bank robbery situation and has to deal with that whole thing. And then you have the sequel where she goes on a physical training art against some like martial arts master pervert guy, and it's honestly peak. It's super goofy, super fun, and it's great. Also, you know, I gotta say this. All these side stories happen before Extra, so no Makoto side story. You don't Makoto fans, you don't really get to see a lot of her. It's sad, but you know, it would have been cool if they had a little Makoto side story without Takeru. You know, just her with her dad and the fucking surviving in the wilderness. I thought that would have been cool, but it is what it is. So that's the Extra side. I don't know, it was alright. I think the main like besides the Maya story, a lot of like the cool stuff happens on the alternative side. Um, they start you off with Atonement, which is a Marimo backstory chapter, which is pretty cool. You know, Marimo, I'm sure, is a pretty beloved character. I was always more of a Tozuki person for the two teachers, but yeah, Marimo, really strong character, especially in alternative. Like great mentor, great death scene, high impact character. So getting more on her and her rise to being an instructor, but it's pretty cool. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching her going through the psycho training regiment of the military. Her and Arihito, I think, rivalry. It was a pretty good side story there. Um, Next was Inheritance. Was it Inheritance already? No, no, no. It's not in order. Curse you, Wiki. Um, Next was Rain Dancers, I'm pretty sure. Which was probably my least favorite of the alternative side, just because it was based on the sister of a character from one of the other side projects from Love Love. So I've only, at this point of this review, I've only read the trilogy and Photon Flowers, so I had no connection to any of these characters. I mean, they look cool. They had like some cool new TSF tech. They were fighting in Italy, which is kind of cool because I'm part Italian, so seeing some representation there is kind of cool. But ultimately, it was fine. I didn't really connect to it too much. But I'm sure if you really enjoyed the brother of the main character from this story, then maybe you like it a little more. Getting some big sister lore or little sister. I don't know. What's the age ranking on the siblings? Then we had Confessions, which I think was peak. This was probably my favorite story of the I mean, it is my favorite story of the alternative side, and I think it's just the best story in the collection. This goes into Isumi, Michiru Isumi, you know, captain of the Valkyries backstory, and I think like Marimo, a lot of people probably wanted this, but even more than Marimo, I wanted this just because she was such a cool character and alternative, and she barely has any screen time. She comes in like the last third, she lasts for like a couple hours, dies like in a really cool heroic death. She was just such a cool character. So getting some more like backstory, just more screen time on like a goated character with really limited screen time is just like a great idea, and it was a great story. You know, it was going into her backstory as a cadet, um, seeing her cadet squad, which I really enjoyed. You know, it was one of the longer stories from the collections too, but you know, just having such a small amount of time to make such a likable squad was pretty impressive. Like I really enjoyed all those squad mates. Um, if I had a favorite, it was probably Fujisara, but they were all cool. So it was just like a really strong story. I then gave more Marimo too. If you wanted more Marimo, there she is. with some really great scenes. I still think my favorite is the final like confrontation between Marimo and Isumi when they start fist fighting. That was really good, especially Marimo's rage monologue thing going on. But yeah, great arc. Um, awesome storytelling. Now I haven't touched Photon Melodies, but it is the next project I'm reading out of the Muv-Luv universe. I am hoping for some Hayase because I put Hayase in the same boat as Isumi. I think they're both excellent character with small screen time. Obviously, Hayase got a little more because she lived longer. But yeah, would like some more Hayase. But great story. Then we have not Chitlin Dancers. I combined it with Rain Dancers. Chitlin Divers. I think the story was pretty good. It was super short. I think shortest of the collection. But it's the first story that takes like a POV of a character that's actually a side character. Like all these other characters kind of had like main character, main cast energy. This was just a random side character, and it was from his POV as a diver, orbital divers, the people they drop down from space to do like the bombardment and hive infiltration. And this was his POV going into the Sato-Dashima, aka Operation, what was it, 21st or 24th? I think 24th because it was on Christmas, right? Their POV. And it was really cool. It was cool kind of just getting like a random soldier's POV. Because with main characters, they well, plot armor might be a little hard to say when by the end of Alternative, like every main cast member died or most of them. So, but you expect a certain level of skill and stuff from like the main cast, right? So it's just a random guy. Like it's a little more tense, I think. Just because like most people just die from the encounters, so like you didn't really expect this guy to live, and in the end, they all did die. But I thought it was really cool side character perspective. I'm glad they had like at least one of those stories, one of those kind of perspective stories in this collection. And in the final one, we have Inheritance, a short story based on Michiru, which Michiru Isumi's sisters. So this is specifically it was Akira, her younger sister, who was also at Sato-Dashima during the main operation. It kind of goes through her like PTSD, her sort of wavering, thinking that about the whole operation, how like sure it was a success, but I guess she didn't see the giant Susanoo laser because she thought it was just like, oh, this was just America's idea to have an excuse to G-bomb the island or whatever. So she was having her doubts. And then to just make things worse after she kind of recovered, the news got dropped that Isumi dies. I'm Michiru, because they're all Isumi, died in a quote-unquote training accident, which none of them believed because apparently the UN just sucks at covering stuff up, which was also kind of despair. But um, I am happy that they mentioned that, at least to the family. I don't know if it was public, but at least to the family, they did release after Operation Cherry Blossom, a couple weeks after that, the real reason how, or the real way Isumi died, how she sacrificed herself for the good of Japan in Sato-Dashima. So that was cool. I'm glad they had some closure on her death and how it motivated them to continue fighting. As we saw Akira get promoted to squad leader on her mission to clear up the rest of the hives, which was cool. It also made me hope that in Photon Melodies, if they do, I don't know if it's the same format where it's half extra, half alternative stories, but if they do another alternative story, I really want to see one set after Operation Cherry Blossom, because they kind of painted the scene that they're constantly destroying hives. But my question is like how? Because they have no Susanoo. Sumika's dead, so like even if they created another Susanoo, they can't pilot it properly unless they make another 00 unit, which is hard and kind of unethical, though I'm sure they would if they have to. So I'm just kind of interested in that process. Like I know the beta are more disorganized since their main base got destroyed, but it still should be like pretty hard to like invade and kill them cleanly, right? So that's just hoping that happens. But yeah, So that's my thought on the arts. Overall, I do think it's worth it if you are a fan of the Muv-Luv trilogy, and you just want more of the same characters. Because obviously, there's a lot of side content you can buy from Muv-Luv. A lot of them featuring like a whole new cast. But if you want side content based on the cast you already know, then I think this is a good purchase. And then I do think the alternative side is significantly better. Maybe significantly is a little much, but I do think generally the alternative side was better than the extra side. But they were all good. It was a good collection for sure. Um, just one other thing to note, for whatever reasons in Confessions, my favorite arc, they had a different artist. I think the default Muv-Luv's sprites and art was the same for all the other stories, but in Confessions, brand new artist, a little cleaner character designs, I would say. Like, it's kind of hard to say cleaner, but like in the original art's good, obviously. Like, I've read so much Muv-Luv, you're just used to it, but like cleaner as in the eyes aren't as big and they look a little more human, a little more normie. So that was kind of cool. Just seen a different art style for once. Not saying it's better than the original, but just random interesting fact that they decided to do that just for one of the arts. So though in also I guess it's not really an art style change, but in a lot of the extra arts, they use a lot of like the puppet CGs. It's kind of like those cute ones with Sumika that Tataru did a lot, especially in Etsura. They kind of use those, but like with like puppet stitch. I thought that was kind of a cute touch. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Um, Not much to say about like characters. Obviously, my opinion of Isumi and Marimo has risen because they got a lot of development, but everyone else was kind of like the same. As for new characters, again, strongest cast is the cadet squad in the Isumi's bat story. I don't think any other new character really sticks out to me as much as those three gals. So yeah. Anyways, that's my review. Uh, fun little side project, and I will continue on to Photon Melodies. So good stuff. If you are interested in watching the future Photon Melodies playthrough or the rest of my Muv-Luv content, consider subbing to the channel. Photon Melodies videos should be every Tuesday and every Monday and Friday at noon EST. If you want to know when they're being uploaded. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully enjoyed this video. And have a great day, night, later.